The case against the 6 men accused of the murder of whistleblower Babita Deokaran has been postponed until the 22nd of August in the High Court in Johannesburg. This is to allow parties to finalise a plea and sentence agreement.
We now speak to SABC News Reporter Hasina Gori, who's been tracking the story and joins us live now. Hasina, thank you so much for your time. It appears as if there's a plea deal coming. What more do we know about it?
So what we understood today and what has come out is that there is a plea and sentence agreement, which is known as the Section 105A of the criminal justice system. This means that the state as well as the accused have now come to the table to negotiate the terms of what could be a plea agreement. That's usually the case where the accused agrees to plead guilty and in return gets a lenient or a lighter sentence, or they could also find that some of the charges may be dropped. In this specific case, that the 6 accused are facing a multitude of various different charges, including murder, conspiracy to commit murders, and various other smaller miscellaneous charges. Other than that section, the higher and more serious crimes that they've committed. So we don't know exactly what these terms are. They are still being ironed out. Last week, when the trial was meant to begin, we heard there was a postponement so that they could both come to some kind of agreement. Today, once again, the state's saying that they are still ironing out this process and to allow them just one more week to come to some kind of agreement. Should that happen, we will not see the main trial going forward. That would mean that they will plead guilty and then a sentence will be handed down and we'll go into sentencing proceedings, and we will not really get a chance to have all those different allegations, different accused, those all being brought to court and actually tested out in that process.
Now, when it actually then resumes, later on, what then are we expecting in terms of the proceedings? That they maybe say that they will be there, and then the court and also the public will be taken through what steps are going to be unfolding?
So next week, Tuesday, when we do return to the Johannesburg High Court, what we'll find out is whether or not the state and the accused have come to some kind of agreement, whether or not the plea agreement was, allowed. Then I think, from what I understand, is that the judge will also rule on whether or not it's a fair sentence, because that is one of the major tests of the cases, to ensure that whatever is handed down, is it fair for the punishment for the crime that's been committed. And if that is done, then we'd see that the 6 accused will then begin serving a sentence.
Now let's talk about her family, because a whole lot of conversations have been centering around the fact that they're still waiting for justice. And, the members of the South African public, a whole lot of activists saying that this matter is moving at a snail's pace. And I suppose getting to this particular point, it does look like things are moving somewhat. Were they in court? How did they react to this if they were there?
Next week, Wednesday, will be exactly 2 years since Babita Deokaran was gunned down, in her home. As we remember, she had just dropped her teenage daughter off at school. She was in grade 10 at that point. Today, the family, 2 members of family were in court. We spoke with her brother, Rakesh Deokaran. He said that while it has been a lengthy process, it has been arduous on them, and they have been really tried during this time, that they feel that justice will be served, and that they're hoping to hear from that plea agreement and see whether or not, this would bring some kind of justice to what Babita Deokaran stood for. We also got a little bit of information on her daughter, saying that she is currently, busy with her preliminary exams. She's in grade 12 right now. She was in grade 10 at the time of her mom's passing. So just hearing from the family that they're trying in their little ways to move forward and to find solace in this process, but it is been difficult on them, but they have trust and faith in the justice system. And
I suppose it's one of those processes that brings up old wounds, but let's see then what happens next week Tuesday, as you say. And of course, 2 years since her passing, and now it does seem like things are moving somewhat. That's our reporter Hasina Gori there, who was watching developments in that Babita Deokaran murder case.